Turn left at the crown, and then left. Yeah. Here we go. Here he is. There's a little welcoming committee for you. Well, you're very welcome to the Lightweight Boxing Show, and this week we're in Stockport, right in the middle of Stockport, and there'll be a clue behind us because we're at a gym, and it's home to a very special mate of Anthony's, a friend and a foe, and he's one of Manchester's finest fighters, John Murray. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Without a shadow of a doubt, massively underappreciated and brought some great nights to Manchester, and hell of a fighter.
So what we're going to do, Anthony's going to catch up with John. We're going to be reviewing all the action from the weekend, previewing the action ahead, and also wrapping up any other boxing business. But let's get inside and see what's going on in there, Anthony.
Let's go.
So yes, we are here in Stockport, and before Anthony catches up with his old mate John Murray, we've got a bit of business to get through because it was a busy weekend of action domestically and overseas as well, all involving domestic fighters though, of course. But firstly, Mark Leach, the British title holder, lost his belt. Liam Davies in Telford put on a really good performance, and Leach, massive disappointment for him.
Yeah.
But Davies, what a night for him.
What a night for Liam Davies. A great father-son relationship. What's worked, which doesn't always work in boxing, and listen, he got it bang on. Tactics was perfect, kept his distance really well. You know, he frustrated Mark, which he's so good at doing to other opponents. And listen, it was really close fight. Most people thought Liam had just done enough. You could not argue with that. Deserved to be British champion. Mark now, listen, it wasn't his best night, but whether that was down to how good of a fight Liam Davies boxed, you could look at it that way. Mark's super talented. And I just feel for him in the sense where he's worked so hard and had to take away fights to get that shot and then to win the title. Brilliant. It was then to kick on, whereas now he might have to take another fight on the road or in the opponent's corner, which I'm sure he will have no problem with doing. And he's good enough. He's good enough to come through that. It was just one bad night at the office. He's unbelievably talented. He'll come back from that. But again, well done to Liam Davies, who boxed the fight of his life.
You've had a situation where you've been an underdog. You've had a situation where you've been also when you've been the favourite. Now, Mark's revelled in being an underdog before.
Yeah.
Is it a certain fight it's just like that?
Yeah, they are, and I think it was. Listen, I've had it where it's worked for me and worked against me. Yeah. It'll be similar to Mark now. But yeah, I think. But why Mark, I think, was a pretty big favourite is because of just how big. There's nothing against Liam Davies because anyone who knows boxing knows he can fight. Yeah. I think it was more because of just how impressive he's been lately. It was hard to see him losing for a lot of people.
Well, that was the domestic side of a BT show, but of course it went overseas as well to Miami because Daniel Dubois was in action looking to get a version of a world title against Trevor Bryant, and it was pretty one-sided. I think that's putting it kindly. And what looked like a fairly bizarre night in Miami as well, the setting, everything about it.
I was working with Carl Frampton, David Price, Paul Dempsey, and Carl Frampton said something along the line like Monty Python done a show. It was mental. Yeah. It was like you're watching it and it was like going back to the 80s.
Well, it was Don King's promotion, wasn't it?
And I think there was the banners from the 80s that it was. I've never seen a stranger set up and, you know, like the girls who done the anthem, you just like it was in a casino, he'd pulled them off the roof, like you come and sing the anthem. It was just mad. And listen, great voice by the way, but it was just absolutely mental. And it was one of the strangest nights of boxing I'd seen. I wasn't there in person, but we were seeing some of the messages Steve Bunce was saying, and there was crazy. There was brilliant. But listen, all in all, what will be remembered is a fantastic left up from Daniel Dubois. Do you know, listen, forget the title and everything like that. But what it does do, I'm saying forget the title, it puts him in a great position to be next in line to challenge the big boys, you know, the regular title. Almost serves as a final eliminator. So he's right near the front of the pack for those shots at the big boys.
When you mention the big boys, we'll touch upon that later because, again, there's always news to be had when you're talking about a Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. We'll get to that in a bit. But in terms of the action at the weekend, again, if we switch channels...
Yes.
And
busy weekend of boxing.
It was, yeah. Richard Riakporhe
Richard
who was in
Riappo.
against Fabio Turchian again. That stellar path is continuing for Richard, isn't it?
Angel Fernandez seems to be working together really well, and the body shot was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful left hook to the body. You know, and when he's another one who's looking me to be right at the front of the line, challenging for world titles. I believe I'd like to see him in another fight or two and then challenging for the world title. And I believe he's capable, and his improvement, he's capable of winning one. The long-awaited debut of Lauren Price, who looked well.
Yep.
Exciting times, for her. I think, she was one of the stars of that Olympic squad. And she got up and running as a professional. And, you're looking, across the cards. It was a great weekend of boxing.
One that maybe slipped under the radar a little bit, that was on the west coast of the USA.
Yeah.
With Insure's Jimmy Kelly.
Yes.
He was always in an uphill task, I suppose, to go and try and wrestle a belt off Jaime Munguia, who we've seen before. What a talent he is. But, Jimmy comes back with his head held high.
He gave a great account of himself, and listen, for the first 4 rounds, he was up on all the cards, and he couldn't not be, because he was landing some fantastic shots. And I think, like you say, he gave a brilliant account of himself. And now with Jimmy I just really hope, and there will be, I believe, there'll be good fights for him here back home. He doesn't mind travelling. I think last time out he had an unbelievable win, which didn't get the credit for. And again, even weekend, he won't get the credit he deserves for giving such account of himself yet. I know he got stopped, got put down 3 times, but he was in that fight and more up until that stoppage against a very, very good fighter who I've seen close up in Jamie Mungai.
Well, of course, we are in Murray Machines. Now, this is the home of a certain John Murray, who had a fantastic career, 36 fights, 33 wins, just 3 blips on the record. You naughty man. One of them.
Great fighter, a massively underappreciated fighter in the British ring over the past however many years.
British champion, European champion, went on one of the longest unbeaten runs, I think, in British boxing.
Was it? Yeah.
At the time when he was absolutely domestically untouchable, really, in the lightweight division. So we thought it'd be a good idea. And what we're going to call this little feature, because you want to catch up with a few of your old opponents. You've had a few Manchester derbies, but of course you've boxed at home, abroad, all over the place. And we're going to track down a few of your opponents now for a special Crolla feature. What's it going to be? Is it Crolla's Foes? Is it Crolla's Company? What is it?
That's a good shout. We're going to work on that name. We'll put it out there. We might even ask John. All
right, well, that's always an opportunity. But Anthony caught up a bit earlier on with John.
We're here now in your workshop, in the lab. Tell us a little bit about this now. So you've got an amateur team, you'll have the keep fitters, you'll have the classes. I know at one point you work with professionals, you come away from that. Would you ever look to revisit that? Are you happy doing what you're doing with the kids and with your classes?
Yeah, at the moment, getting things going again in the gym. Obviously, I was at the Reddish base to start with. And then obviously COVID hit, and my landlord sold up his building and stuff, so we had to shut that down. And then COVID kept me out of the gym for another year. And then we found this space here. I'm happy with the space. I've worked really hard in here, getting it, looking how good it does and stuff, and getting there bit by bit. We've got like a monthly membership plan where you pay £40 a month and come and use the gym as many times as you want. We've got classes on every day, morning classes, afternoon classes and evening classes, so I'm busy enough in here.
Can you look back now happy with what you achieved? Or also, and do you look back because I'll say it, and a lot of the people around Manchester, I know, was over there, he says it, we've said it, we feel like he was underappreciated and didn't get the respect.
I think the fighting style that he had was massively underappreciated. I think when I was at the top of my game, I felt indestructible and unbeatable. I could walk through anyone, I could drag anyone into my type of fight and I'd take them to pieces. And some of the boxers I beat were far superior boxers and athletes than me. But it was the mental toughness and the physical attributes that I possessed. I could just drag them into a war. My aim was to be a pro fighter, and I wanted to be a pro, so I geared my whole life to being a pro boxer. And I thought if I won a British title, I was going to be a millionaire. I wouldn't have to have a normal job like everyone else. But in reality, I think for my British title, I got 15 grand. What people think you get and the actual reality is far, far different. Like you spoke about your fight, I got told you was on 300 grand when you boxed me. Do you know what I mean? So
it's crazy.
It's crazy to think what you get, what people think, and what you actually get paid. And it's.
I just said to John then, off air, I remember fighting Andy Morris. There was a rumour going round. I'd been paid £80,000 for an English title fight. £80,000. I didn't get a tenth of that, right? I was living at home with my mum and dad. I was sharing a room with my younger brother living in a bunk bed. and people are thinking I'd got 80,000, but I was thinking, I'm going to walk home and Mum and Dad are going to be tied up. Where's that money? Do you know what? I was driving around with on a finance course, do you know what I mean?
I think like towards the back end of my career and that, especially when I started getting beat, I think what annoyed me the most is I was looking at like my wages and that, and I was thinking, how comes I'm getting paid this and they're getting paid that? And I think I started looking around too much, thinking I had the best undefeated record at one point of 31 bounce before I boxed Mitchell, and I couldn't seem to get. I felt like I was never gonna get to that page where I'm making life-changing money, where I could finally put my feet up. Because once I had a fight, it was like I get paid decent wages, and I'm happy. I'll tell everyone what I got paid. I think for the Mitchell fight was probably about the biggest payday I had in boxing was 50 grand. The Rios fight, Madison Square Garden, 22,000 people. I think that was the biggest payday. I think I was on around 55, but with in failing weight, I got 65 with a bit of extra money on it.
Yeah.
But 65 grand
for you, the dollar rate was brilliant then. It was like near $2 to a pound, wasn't it, if I remember right?
I don't know.
I don't know if it was that good. It wasn't that good, but it was decent. It was
a decent wage, but when you think about, like, you look at my state of the face after the Rios fight, I look like I've been hit with a bus. I'm pissing blood. I still have dreams about that fight now.
Yeah.
I must have PTSD about that fight because I still dream about that fight. And when in my dream, I wake up, I'm like, ding ding. I think fucking I was round 12. Oh fucking! I must have dreamed I got knocked out. I didn't get knocked out. I'm gonna fucking win the fight, and I still get beat.
Yeah. Can you look back on that moment and be proud though as well? You know, it was in Madison Square Garden. It was a sold out Madison Square Garden as well, because obviously the Cotto Margarito return as well. And the account you gave of yourself.
Massive. I think.
Want to tell the grandkids
I've watched it. I watched it back the other day. Someone put a post up, and I've shared it and watched it back. And you know what? I don't get no credit for that fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think watch that fight back, man. I'm telling you what, I'm in there.
You had your moments.
I watched it back, and I think I've had well in the fight. I had it with one of the biggest punches in world boxing at the time. So toe him in the pocket, and he's no quitting me at any point. You know what I mean? I'm still fighting even when my eyes are shut. And I had it with him, and I remember him after the fight. He speaks to me. He says, "Murray, you're one tough son of a bitch, man."
Yeah.
He said, "I'll tell you what, I've never fought a tougher son of a bitch in my life, man." Top man. He's a nice kid. And,
he was.
It was all just fucking business. Well, you know what it's like before the fight. It was down to business. Even when we use fighters, no happiness and that. And then as soon as the fight's over, it's all done, dusted. Then it's boxing.
I remember that. You know, with our fight, and I got asked. I remember at the weigh-in and someone saying, "What was getting said there? What was getting said?" I remember it, and there was just a mad respect thing. Where it was like none of us had, because obviously this channel, there's the thing with you and Joe and the build-up and stuff, but it was like head to head, and it was a bit like, it was an intense one, probably the most intense head to head I've ever had. But there was never a point of, you know, I remember you saying something on the lines of, let's have a war or something like that, and I went, and I'm like nodding like smiling, going, let's. Do you know what? We were just both up for it.
Something along the lines of, listen, we're not friends tomorrow. We're going for it.
And everyone was, what got said? Did it? And I was like, no, we were just both in the zone.
So it's a mutual
just both massively in the zone, weren't we?
Mate, you know what I mean?
No,
it's all done, dusted, and a fight's a fight, and then once it's dusted, it's dusted.
And now it's time to meet two of Manchester's finest. Please welcome to the ring now, John Murray. It's $1 Million Anthony Crolla.
About the fight itself, I say it all the time, and I remember, like, obviously John was banged up for it, and then I was going to fight in Scotland. I was going to fight John Simpson. I picked up like a stupid cut in sparring, so I had to pull out. This man was an answer. I'll fight him. And then John done a proper job on John Simpson, who was a handful.
Yeah, he was
strong. And then John, obviously, like, he said after the fight, like, he walked right through him, and John Simpson was a quality fighter. And it was half like, even if I didn't want to fight John said, no, I want to. I had to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, put you in a corner.
He'd back me into a corner.
It was.
And that was it. And it was never, ever personal between me and John. And it couldn't be, and it's not because he's sat here. I think I've said it to him before. And we said it at the start of this chat. John helped me massively. I wouldn't have been the fighter I become if it wasn't for John Murray. Yeah, of course, like, you know, your Joes and people along the way, but John had a massive influence on my career. It was never anything personal. Like I said before, even when it was tense, you know, at the weigh-in and staring down, and I think that was the most tense I've been. It was never personal. And I knew I couldn't let it become personal, because if I did, I'd be in a world of trouble if I thought I'm going to stand there with him. But I like it's for the fight itself.
That's what I was hoping for. I wanted him to engage
I just had to be smart.
But you had to be clever. I think obviously the tactics were to drag me into later rounds. And I was fading at this point. I think it was noted I wasn't living a good lifestyle outside the ring, and to go in a 12-round distance after having a 2-year break for me had become a problem. I mean, after the Rios fight,
Simpson, as good as the Simpson performance was, it would have done you a favour.
It would have done me a better.
You just blew him out, didn't you?
I think I took the fight with you. I think I needed a good 8 rounds or a good 10 rounds under my belt going into the fight to be ready for it. But I think I boxed you, because obviously we'd had loads of spars and that, and I thought, when I get these 8-ounce gloves, I'm just going to walk through him. Do you know what I mean? But you was a different fighter. You'd progressed from them. Do you know what I mean? You'd had them tough wars with the other kids coming through.
And it stood me in good stead.
It stood you in good stead. And I thought, I remembered you from a few years earlier when I was going through you in sparring and stuff, and I thought, I'll go through him now in the 8-ounce gloves. And I've boxed, like there's a firework up my ass. I wasn't preparing to go 12 rounds. I just thought, run at him and get him out of it. It fucked me, because when I got beat, I think round 10.
The job is done.
Blood coming from the nose, and he is backing up as well here, Murray, and he looks absolutely on the point of exhaustion. Wicked left hook, hurts Murray again. Still he comes forward. What's keeping him going?
Murray's poking with the jab, but there's no snap in it. There's nothing in his punches.
Crolla is picking him off at will here, and down he goes, and that was coming. A look to his corner of despair. He's on his feet at 6, but he's got nothing left.
Nothing left at all.
Can Crolla finish the Battle of Manchester right here? Little left hook. Murray backing up, in trouble, all over the place. Held up by the ropes there, body shots, wicked uppercut. Murray finished, done. Crolla has broken him up.
That was a terrific fight, Nick, a terrific performance. Tremendous discipline all the way through from Anthony Crolla.
I literally had nothing left. I was empty, my tank was gone.
No, he left all that, and I knew, like, I know he was up, but you stopped seeing it. It was just because it weren't because you was gone, legs was gone. It was exhaustion as well.
Yeah, it's exhaustion. Yeah, my brother Joe was in the corner. He said, "John, I was looking at you. I was talking to you in the corner." He said, "Like the lights are on, but no one's up." You've been in the corner a couple of my fights,
of course.
Like this is what people at home won't understand about boxing. When you see fighters on TV boxing, you see a bit of blood, you see a little bit of Mark Tyson and that. But when you're ringside, you can hear the breathing, you can see the sweat.
Fight.
It's a brutally sport you can ever imagine. You can see the blood and the sweat.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
I've been in these fights, and even when I've been in the corner of like, let's say your fight or something, I look at the blood and I look at the sweat. I think, fucking hell, this is brutal. This. Do you know what I mean? Even though I've been in a fight, but it's something different about when you stood there looking at it. Like Joe Gallagher's obviously been in the corner of some big fights. He's seen that blood, that sweat, tear.
Yeah.
And I think you have to become immune to it. To be a good top-class trainer, you're going to have to become immune to it.
You have to be a bit brutal, a bit good. You can't
brutal.
have too much. I know this sounds bad, like, because you've always got the fighter's best interest at heart, but you've got to be a bit, is cold the right word, but a little bit.
You have to be brutal.
Like, no,
you have to say, you're out to fight. You know what I mean?
It's a gladiator sport.
Proper.
It can be, and you've got to look past that time. Listen, I don't believe keep your fighter in there to take a good hiding.
It's about getting a W in it. That's what it's about. And sometimes to get that W, you have to send that kid out knowing that kid's hurt. And this is what's brutal about boxing. It's a tough game.
I remember, well, it was more than a year ago actually, just short before the old COVID thing. And there's a lad I know, one of my fighters mates, and he's a good MMA fighter, good quality MMA fighter. And he comes to me, not Mr. James, says, can I just have your honest opinion? I'm thinking of going on the road as a journeyman so I can train full time as my MMA. Do you know, then I can train every day, I can just fight 4 rounders every week. And on paper, that sounds a great idea.
Yeah.
I went, listen, it's a terrible idea. I said, because no, I said, what it is. I said, you think, and then all of a sudden, you'll end up, and he can look after himself, which is all right when you're fighting these ticket sellers, just counting through, you're getting paid, but then a job comes in at late notice and you think, what, I'm getting paid 3 times the amount I normally do to fight a better kid, I'll do that. But then I said, I'll tell you what makes you feel, I said, I'll tell you what will make your mind up. You go to a professional show and get there for the first bout, the first few bouts, when you see journeyman, the licks that they have to take against the journeyman, and then still tell me you want to do it. Because it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
I remember being there with journeymen. Don't get me wrong, they can look after themselves and handle themselves.
Yeah.
But they're taking some licks. I mean, they're fighting young kids.
Yes.
Wanting to make a name for themselves, wanting to make a
Make
statement.
an impression,
trying to knock them out.
yeah.
Trying to knock them out.
They don't realise, and as
it's
much
heavy.
No, they
Boxing is heavy. It's heavy, man. There's no doubt about it.
After it, I remember, obviously, you know, we spoke after it, but I'll always remember, like, getting back to the hotel, and then I remember getting back to the hotel, and John messaged me. I still remember it was a nice message, like, do you know what, like, you know, fair play, mate. And it was just like, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, you put on a great fight and this and that, and do you know what? I was boring me, actually. I think I just had a bit of a takeaway, and that was it. Because I think it was a hard fight.
It wasn't hard fight.
But I was probably a bit drained as well. I was only half a man. I think you went out, didn't you? I
went straight from the ring, straight into an ambulance, me. After the Crolla fight, I went to hospital. They said my retina's come off, but they said, you're going to have surgery today. But I thought, fuck that. It's like I walked in off the street, into A&E, and I had like a 3 or 4 hour wait, and I'm thinking about everyone partying after the fight. I thought, I've just been beat, man. I want to go and get off my head. So I took phone Mike. I said, Mike, come pick me up. I've been seen now. He said it's all right, blah blah blah. And both my eyes are shutting tight now, because after the fight, you're swelling in your head, and that all drops down. Yeah. It keeps getting worse and worse until the next morning. Then you'll really see how much damage there is done. But I got picked up off Mike. I got him to drop me home, and I went on a bender then. And I must have done 2 or 3 days on a bender. By the time I finished my bender, I still had my boxing shorts on, still had my boxing boots on. But them black eyes that he had, when my eyes both shut tight, I've been on a bender that long, they'd opened up. I could see again. Oh, I can see! You know what I mean? I was back. But everyone's different. Like, some people will think about it and say, fucking hell, John's a mad bastard. But everyone deals with things in their own ways, I think. Yeah. And because boxing is a stressful thing, and you think it's one of the last gladiator sports, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's so much pressure on a fight going into a fight.
Of course there is, and it's the come down after it, isn't it?
It's a come down, mate. It's an adrenaline rush.
Escape it all or like that, or just deal with the come down. Do you know what I mean?
It is. It's
I imagine like the 3 days after it, the come down was pretty bad for you.
Big, mate.
It was the bender fight. I don't know.
It was heavy, mate. It was heavy, but it was the last fight of my career, and then that's when I had to come to terms with finding my place after boxing. This is what fighters need out. There needs to be some sort of boxing union. There has to be, because the fighters, you're taking school kids, taking through the pros, and then once you're done, you're dusted. And it's not. I don't know any fighters. It's very rare that a fighter can finish boxing and he can go, I've got enough money now. I'm set up, and I've got a bit of money in the bank. But even if you've got a bit of money in the bank, you don't got to make money or get by, and you still soon withers away. Yeah. And there needs to be something put in place now where fighters are getting looked after boxing, because the adjustment to real world.
Even if there's some kind of meeting, you know, every few weeks or once a month where they'll meet up and, do you know what I mean?
All the boxers, when they get together, they all help each other. Everyone will do anything they can for each other. But what it is with boxing, what I found is it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. Once I finished boxing, I was out of sight, out of mind, and then I was like, what do we do now? Where's my place in the world? Because I'm used to being told to get up, go for a run. You got to be at the gym at this time. You've got your weight session at this time. You're doing this at this time. You eat at this time. You go sleep at this time. And it's like just structure and routine to your life. It's ripped out from underneath you, and you're thrown into a big wide world. But instead of being like 16-year-old school leaver, I was a 32-year-old school leaver, and I thought, where's my place belong now? I started doing bits of work here and there and trying to find my place, but I was smart with that last fight I had with you. I used my brain. I bought the gym.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be my last fight, so I thought. But the reason why I was smart is because 2 years previously I'd had the Rios fight.
Yeah.
I'd had a year out of the ring. I was supposed to be fighting Gavin Rees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just before the Gavin Rees fight, I'd been pulled out with a brain scan.
Yes.
So I'd had another year out of the ring, and it gave me a taste of what
real life
was like.
Yeah.
And I come back to boxing. I had the comeback fight against Escobar. I had the comeback fight against Escobar. Escobar, yeah. I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I had the comeback fight against Escobar.
The Pablo Escobar.
Yeah. And then I had the fight with Simpson.
Yeah.
Then I had the fight with you.
Yeah.
But I half knew going into the fight with you that if I won, I'd have one more fight. If I lost, I was going to call it a dupe, and I had to do something with it. But only because I had that time when the 2 years previous where I had no fights and I couldn't box. And
whereas if you didn't have those times, you might have just.
If I didn't have them times, I guarantee you 6 months after the fight with you, I'd have nothing, no gym, no business, no comeback. But I was lucky, so that's sometimes why I count things as blessings. Like failing the brain scan was a blessing. And even losing to you is a blessing, because although it cost me a night, I've still got my minerals intact. Because I would fight, I'd still be fighting now. I know would, because I'm that type of kid. I liked fighting. It was good. It was second nature. I loved it. I belonged in the ring. So I'd still be fighting now, but I'll still be getting punched in the head. And I see fighters finish boxing sometimes, and they're not fully there.
No,
they struggle talking.
Balance is a bit all
the
over.
balance is a bit funnier.
Speech, slurred. No, it's hard, and that's when it's hard.
Punch called being punch drunk in it, and they have laughed like drunk. So I'm finished my marbles intact. I can talk. I'm intelligent. I've got my own business. So I finished boxing. It was good to me, and I finished all right. So I'm happy where I'm up to in life.
Well, a fantastic chat there with yourself and your old mate, John Murray. And again, it's a massively interesting insight to the real boxing world, if you like. The fact that you trained together, you're good mates, you had that fight. It's all forgotten now, best of mates again. But John's story is brilliant. He's a great talker, really engaging character, and a top fighter.
Fantastic talker. And like I say, I think I mentioned in the chat, very, very underappreciated. He had a brilliant, fan-friendly style, but he's got a great boxing brain as well, and you just see in the next few years he'll have champions of his own for sure.
And on Chesterfields as well, it's not often you see them in a gym.
No, very generally like in his little lab in his workshop. Throw the Chesterfields out and we're in there, sat down talking boxing.
Fabulous. Well, of course, boxing at the weekend involves another heavyweight. We spoke about Daniel Dubois earlier, and Daniel Dubois, of course, did a number on Nathan Gorman a couple of years ago. He's since had a blip. He's on the comeback trail and has done very well since that defeat to Joe Joyce. But Nathan Gorman still trying to get back where, I suppose, and put himself right where Dubois now is, and he takes on Thomas Salak at the weekend. And again, a chance for Nathan to shine and make a statement.
Nathan's super talented. I think one of the criticisms, listen, he's never going to be body beautiful, but we feel like he's carrying too much weight at some point. But got lovely fast hands, great boxing brain. Listen, if he can whip himself into the right kind of shape and optimum weight, you know, like I say, he's never going to be body beautiful, but he can do something in that division for sure. He's got lovely skills.
Yeah, always good to talk to Nathan as well. He's a smart lad. But of course, stateside.
Yep.
Well, a really engaging one, really interesting one. You've got Artur Beterbiev, however you want to pronounce it, who is, well, he's a force of nature, if that's one way of putting it. Just a little bit. And he's going in against Joe Smith Jr., all the belts on the line as well.
Yep.
What a division we're talking about there in terms of the light heavies. You've got some personal experience of seeing Artur Beterbiev in action against Callum Johnson, of course, which was a great fight. He put him down, of course.
He did, and put him down proper as well. I think Callum said just how hard he hit, and Beterbiev, I think I'm right in saying he's the only world champion in boxing at the minute with a perfect record, 17 fights, 17 knockouts, and this fight with Joe Smith, like, I'm sorry if I sound crude, but it's just going to be legalised violence. I can't see it ending up away, and I think it's going to be explosive. I'll be very surprised if we go past 6 rounds.
The Joe Smith camp, as they're going to be, are very confident that they can do the business. But
he's got a great story as well. I think he's on a building site, he's working away. But
he's the blue-collar hero, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he is.
But Beterbiev, who, of course, relocated to Montreal about a decade ago, he's very much part of the North American scene now. He's very comfortable. It's not like he's just been shipped over to fight Joe Smith, so he's very comfortable. Do you genuinely give Joe Smith much of a chance? I mean, I know he's a heavy hitter as well. Is that what it's going to have to be?
Very heavy-handed, and I think someone who, the flaw in a lot of huge punches is they don't always take the best shot. I mean, Callum Johnson can certainly whack, but he put Bertobiev over heavily.
Yeah.
So, no, you've got to give someone like Joe Smith Jr. a chance and more, so a fighter like him. However, he asked for a prediction. I think Bertobiev inside 6 violent rounds, where I think both will have success. I think at some point, Bertobiev, the pair of them might have a plan, and it literally comes to them slugging it out. I do think that I don't see how it can be a bad fight.
And then, should your prediction come true, there's a certain Dimitri Bivol knocking around now. That
the man of the moment
against Bivol, though.
Yeah,
I mean that's
a very different fight.
Crazy fight.
A very different fight, and Bertobiev's got to come through. So the winner, whoever, they've got to come through that. But it's a very different fight with Bivol, who's just shown against Canelo just how good he can be. But without a shadow of a doubt, Canelo's not fighting Bivol yet in the rematch straight away. He's looking at the Triple G fight. So listen, the obvious fight for the winner there is the Dimitri Bivol fight to see who is the #1 light heavyweight in the world.
Indeed. Well, of course, they're light heavyweights, but the heavyweights, they're never far away from the news. There's always something going on, of course. Now, again, a few days ago, Anthony Joshua announced this new DAZN deal. And again, we know what's going to happen with Usyk and Saudi and all the rest of it. I mean, firstly, your thoughts on that, because he's been fighting on the Sky platform, but now it's going to be DAZN and a pay-per-view, I think, with their new model.
It is, yeah.
So were you surprised in any way by that move?
I wasn't too surprised. I think, they've had some great years together, with Sky, and obviously Anthony Joshua, with titles or not, is one of the very biggest names in boxing. So everyone would have wanted him, but by all accounts, it's an unbelievable package that DAZN have put together for him. And he's thinking, I think at this point in his career, I'd do what's right for me, and you can't blame him at all for that. But I think, it's a massive coup for DAZN. And
Matchroom.
And Matchroom, of course, Matchroom, to see now how this is going to work with a fight as big as this. So it looks very likely we're going Saudi. Well, not we're going, but we might be. We might be there.
Done it before?
Yes, it won't be our first time. If they want anyone to show people the ropes over there, but August the 20th is the talked about date for the rematch. So
and another fella just gets a bit of press now and again, Tyson Fury, who of course is retired. He's
absolutely
full on retired. But then he was teasing people earlier this week, him and Frank Warren, saying that there's going to be a big announcement. He's coming back again, which would surprise nobody. If he announced that he definitely wanted to fight the winner of Joshua Usyk. And again, could he really resist the law of that? Then he's been doing the rounds in other media outlets saying, no, 100% retired. If I come back, it's only for entertainment, it's exhibitions, and it's absolutely 100%. It's going to take half a bill.
Yes.
Half a billy, as he kept saying, to bring him back to fight. I mean, wrap up all of that.
Where do we start? Other than I can't.
Is he retired?
Do I believe he's retired? I'm not so sure. I said at the start, I think everyone said that. But it makes you wonder sometimes. I don't know if Tyson knows if he's retired or not. It's he's staying in the gym, ticking over. I know he's big on doing that to look after himself. But there'll always be the temptation. And you got to remember, he's right at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Very few fighters walk away at the top of their game. And especially when there's potential of a huge money-earning fight with the winner of Alexander Usyk or Anthony Joshua. I think depending on how that, I don't know if it does depend on how that fight goes. I think we see. Do I think we'll see Tyson Fury again? Yes, I do. Frank was on the radio the other day saying his next fight will be in the UK, so we might see one before the winner of them. Do I think Tyson Fury's retired? No.
In a word. The thing is, as well, what would be interesting, he's got the WBC belt, of course.
Yes.
Now, he was saying that he's got a year to hang on to that.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to take that belt off him, I think that's the key point, isn't it? You take that belt off him, then he's definitely...
Tyson will always be, that name, and he'll always be that #1 heavyweight until someone beats him. But that's a big thing with the WBC, where they give him that extension. If they would have put pressure on him, it might have got an answer out, a more clear answer out of him sooner.
Well, that's about it then from Murray Machines and Anthony catching up with his old mate John. And what's the weekend hold for you now, Anthony?
Weekend...
Again, Friday evening now, what time? So, again...
I might be dashing to Scotland in a minute for Jake Limond in his corner again. enjoying this weather.
Yeah.
What else? I'll watch a bit of the boxing over the weekend for sure. I can't miss that fight with Bertie Evans and Joe Smith Jr. Not live though. I'm too old now to be staying up through the night.
Set the alarm clock, or is it just in the morning you can catch up with all the
morning
action?
without knowing. Phone off the lot.
Fair enough. Well, there you have it. It's been great seeing John Murray again in great form. Fantastic chat as well with himself and Anthony, and that's a great feature as well. So look forward to catching up with some of your other opponents as well. Just a shame you never had too much needle with any of these guys, because it's always going to be nice and nice in these chats, isn't it?
You be in the middle of us.
Oh, hard. There's no need. Not that it'd be any good. So there you have it. Thank you very much indeed for watching the Lightweight Boxing Show.